A woman, as usual, kissed her husband goodbye before he went to work, unaware that tragedy was quietly approaching. Everything happened too suddenly. The woman froze in place, her mind reeling. A car unexpectedly sped up, hitting her husband so hard he was unrecognizable. The people in the car glanced silently at the unfortunate couple and drove away. However, this was not an ordinary traffic accident, but a meticulously planned murder. During the emergency, Lai learned from her husband's colleague, Arang, that her husband had actually taken a day off today. But when he left the house, he was wearing a police uniform. It was clear her husband had hidden something from Lai, preparing to do something. Very soon after, the doctor walked out of the ward and delivered the news that no one in the family wanted to hear. Her husband had not survived, and with his passing, strange things began to happen one after another. After the funeral, her husband's superior asked Lisa if she could return his gun to the police station. Lai was a bit confused because she hadn't seen her husband carry a gun that day. At this moment, the scene shifts to Liza's assistant, who silently hid her husband's gun in a secret compartment. On the other side, a man told a well-known wealthy woman in the area that they wouldn't be found. The wealthy woman said that was for the best. It seemed her husband's death was closely related to these people. When Lisa was shopping at a nearby convenience store, she noticed that the surveillance camera at the door could clearly capture the road. But the store clerk said that no police had come to collect the footage after the incident. This made Lisa extremely angry. The police didn't even do basic things like tracking down the hit-and-run car. Coupled with the fact that she found a toll booth ticket and a milk stick wrapper in her husband's pocket, Lai began to realize that her husband's death was not a simple accident. Because her husband was lactose intolerant, he normally wouldn't eat this type of snack. Very quickly, her husband's motorcycle was repaired. She rode the motorcycle away like the wind, venting all her emotions from the past few days onto the road. And while resting along the way, she discovered her husband's phone hidden in the pocket at the front of the motorcycle, which had 19 missed calls from the same person on the day of the incident. Lisa immediately called back, and the other person was a woman. When she heard it was Lisa, the woman immediately hung up. Lisa found out that 7 days ago, her husband had sent a message to this woman urging her to leave the hospital and go to a specified location. Without thinking much, Lisa immediately drove to the designated location. This was an abandoned wooden house in the wilderness, and Lisa also met the woman from the phone. To be precise, the other person was a teenage girl. As soon as the girl saw Lai, she began to run away frantically. And Lai chased after her, pursuing her up a hill to a cliff before forcing the girl to stop. It was then that the girl realized Lai's husband was dead. She kept saying that she had killed Lai's husband, that it was an accident. His death wasn't her fault. It wasn't my fault. They killed him. Lai asked who wanted to kill her husband, but the girl said it was all her fault for telling him about it, which led to his misfortune. So it's best you don't know either. No, I must know. The scene shifts to the girl's flashback. The girl and 2 other women secretly got into a man's car. It seemed they voluntarily followed this man. As soon as they got in the car, the man gave them several bottles of mineral water. Unexpectedly, the water had already been drugged. Next are some fragmented memory images. They seem to have suffered some injuries, their faces covered in bruises, some even unconscious. The perpetrators all wore different animal masks. The girl was the only one who escaped confinement. Driven by the instinct to survive, she ran frantically in thin clothing through the snowy mountains. After an unknown period, she reached a toll booth. This was also the toll booth on the ticket Lai's husband had in his pocket. The timeline returns to the present. Lisa took the girl home. Based on her memory, Donya drew the shapes of the 4 mysterious figures. She also said that one of them used a certain brand of film camera to take many photos. Lai asked why her husband didn't take her to the police station at that time, but instead hid her. After all, her husband was a police officer before he died. Donya said her husband told her that even if she went to the police station, those people could still find her, so it was best not to let anyone know where she was. When Lisa wanted to ask for more clues, the girl showed great resistance. First, she didn't want to hurt Lai, and second, she was truly scared. She was afraid that the mysterious people would find her, and then she would also lose her life. After all, these people dared to kill even a police officer, which clearly showed how powerful the forces behind them were. A few days later, Donya hid at Lisa's house without going anywhere, and Lisa focused on the camera clue to investigate. The convenience store owner said he no longer sold this type of camera because most people use digital cameras or phones to take pictures. People who like to use this type of film camera were usually artists. Do we have such artists in our small town? Perhaps you can ask at the art gallery for more information. On the other side, Lai's daughter was ridiculed by her classmates because her father was hit and killed by a car. The daughter then fought with the school bully. In the struggle, she accidentally tore the clothes of the priest who was intervening. Lai was forced to temporarily stop her investigation to go to school to handle this matter, but it was precisely because of this incident that she got a new clue. The scene highlights the priest's arm, on which there was a patterned tattoo. But at this time, Lai still didn't know what this tattoo meant. The next day, Lai's father-in-law discovered that the clothes Donya was originally wearing were a mental hospital gown. He angrily ran to Liza's workshop, asking her why she brought a mentally ill person home. Lisa didn't tell her father-in-law the truth, but just casually made up an excuse. She immediately ran to ask Donya if she was lying to her. But Donya's answer was that Lisa's husband had taken her to that hospital, but she only stayed there for one night and then went to the wooden house on the mountain. After that, Lisa tirelessly ran to this hospital, but the receptionist said there was no patient named Donya in the hospital. Just when Lisa thought she would leave empty-handed, a familiar face appeared. Lisa recognized this woman from her husband's funeral. Moreover, she had cried very sadly at that time. She said that her boyfriend had stalked her and sent death threats. Only Lai's husband helped her escape. On this point, Lai had no doubts because her husband was a kind person before he died. The hospital staff, out of gratitude, helped hide Donya, but Donya was in severe shock at the time and didn't say anything else to this woman. Therefore, Lai didn't get any useful clues from this woman. As she was about to leave, the woman reminded Lisa not to trust anyone in town. It was clear that she also realized that the incident involved many people in the town. Afterwards, Lai continued to follow the camera clue to the art gallery. From the museum director, she learned that the small town indeed had a photographer who used this type of camera. Lai casually searched and obtained the photographer's information. After Donya personally confirmed that the photographer was the man who picked them up that night, Lai decided to lure the snake out of its hole. First, she proactively called the photographer and said she wanted to take a portrait, then took out 2 stun guns from the safe and found a corpse in her workshop for experimentation. Here, it must be explained that Lai's profession was funeral services. Moreover, her workshop was connected to her home. After confirming that the 2 stun guns were fine, she went to the photographer's workshop. While taking photos, she deliberately mentioned Donya's name to provoke the photographer. "What nonsense are you talking about?" "I don't know any Donya. I want to call the police." "All right, go ahead and call. My hands are clean. I didn't do anything wrong and I didn't hurt anyone. You don't know what you've caused." During the argument, Lai used a blunt object to injure the man, then quickly took out the stun gun from her bag. To be honest, Lai was a very ruthless person. She directly stuffed the man into her hearse. When the man woke up on the way, she tased him a few more times. Just like that, she transported the man home over a long distance. To avoid being discovered by her family, she could only deal with the man after dinner. Unexpectedly, the time dragged on too long, and the photographer inside suffocated to death. At first, Lai was still scared. After all, she had killed someone. But thinking about how these people had killed her husband, she was no longer afraid. Lai searched the photographer for his car keys and phone. She easily restored the man's disfigured face and unlocked his phone. This phone also became an important tool for her subsequent investigation of the case. Lai also discovered a patterned tattoo on the photographer's leg, but at this time, she still hadn't remembered that the priest also had a similar tattoo. Just like that, the photographer disappeared without a trace. The next day, as Lisa was sorting through the case, she suddenly remembered that the camera the photographer used to take her pictures was still at the scene. So she immediately rushed to the scene to retrieve the camera. But just then, a female voice suddenly echoed. The person who arrived was the photographer's mother, and also the wealthy woman who appeared at the beginning of the film. The wealthy woman walked around the scene but didn't find her son, so she left. Afterwards, as Lai was deleting her photos, she discovered that there were also photos of the wealthy woman and the priest inside. It was then that she remembered that the priest also had a similar tattoo on his hand. She immediately took the photos to ask Donya. But Donya said those people all wore masks. She didn't know if the priest was one of them. So Lisa immediately called the priest and let Donya listen to his voice to distinguish. Lisa used the excuse that her daughter had misbehaved at school to apologize to the priest. Donya recognized the priest's voice. She said he was probably the one wearing the rabbit mask. In the afternoon, Lai happened to receive a message that the mysterious people sent to the photographer. She took the opportunity to arrange to meet them at the church, then hid in a corner of the church. Sure enough, the priest and another man appeared on time. The other man was a well-known local restaurant owner, and it seemed he had some grudges with the photographer. If that photographer shows up again, don't look. I know already. Afterwards, Lai found the priest and said she wanted to confess and stated directly that she had killed someone. Are you kidding? You shouldn't say these things to me. You should go to the police. I just want to know what will happen to someone like me. Will I be burned in hell? At least you and I can be companions, right? What are you talking about? Don't think I don't know anything. The wicked things you did to those girls, no need to keep listening to your nonsense. When the priest woke up, he was already tied up by Lai. She forced him to reveal who killed her husband, but the stubborn priest refused to speak. Lai, pushed to the limit, directly poured a barrel of gasoline on him, lit a match, and left the church without caring about anyone. At this point, 2 of the mysterious people had been dealt with, but the real murderer of her husband had not yet been found. However, that evening, as Lai returned home, she found Donya had run away. Moreover, the person who gave her money to escape was the assistant. Because Donya noticed a gray car following them, she insisted on leaving. The assistant, wanting to help her, gave her money to leave the house. Unexpectedly, this not only didn't help Donya but also harmed her. Not long after the priest died, the photographer's phone received a message. One of the 4 people said that the rabbit had been burned to death. It was indeed just as Donya had said in the previous episode. The priest was the one wearing the rabbit mask. This time, Lai became even more convinced. Her husband had discovered the secret of these 4 people and was killed to silence him. As long as she continued to investigate this clue, she would definitely find the culprit who ran over her husband. But Lai never expected that before she could deal with the 3rd mysterious person. The restaurant owner, the wealthy mother of the photographer, would harm Lisa's son. She sent someone to the school, and with a few words, they lured Lisa's son away. Lisa went to school and heard the security guard say that her son was taken away by someone driving a gray car, and she immediately realized it was the wealthy woman's doing. She immediately drove like crazy to the wealthy woman's resort, stormed into the conference room, and confronted the wealthy woman about where she was hiding her son. But the wealthy woman was not flustered at all and calmly presented the photos the photographer had taken of her earlier. It turned out that the camera had been connected to the cloud long ago. Even if Lai stole the phone and deleted the photos, it was useless. The wealthy woman had now guessed 8 or 9/10 that her son's disappearance was related to Lie. But Liza was not afraid at all. She said, "The wicked things your son did to those girls, I don't believe you don't know. If I expose these things, I'm afraid your family's business will all go down the drain. Quickly tell me where my son is hidden, otherwise I will sue you for kidnapping." The wealthy woman reluctantly had to reveal where Lisa's son was hidden. Lie immediately rushed there, but the kidnapper of her son had already disappeared. One thing after another. The next day, Liza's workshop received a notice to go to the riverside to retrieve a body. And the deceased was the runaway girl, Donia. Although Lie's job was funeral services, when she saw Donia's body, she was still stunned. First, she truly didn't expect the mastermind to act so quickly. Second, she had developed a soft spot for Donia. To avoid revealing anything, she also had to pretend to be calm in front of the police. Arang said he didn't know her. "Do you know her?" "No, I just think she's about my daughter's age." Arang said she was covered in bruises from rocks. Perhaps she was a tourist who accidentally fell off the mountain. Lisa didn't answer because she understood very well that Donia was clearly pushed off the mountain by the culprit to avenge her husband and Donia. Lisa decided that tonight she would find the third masked person, the restaurant owner, to question him. Before leaving, she also prepared a syringe and a scalpel. Then Lisa chose the right time, just as the restaurant closed and all the staff and customers had left to appear. "I'm not in a good mood. Can I have a special drink from you?" The restaurant owner, seeing that Lie had just lost her husband, felt quite sorry for her and agreed. After chatting for a while, she took out the prepared needle while the owner wasn't paying attention. "Lie asked who killed my husband. Were you the driver?" Unexpectedly, the drug didn't take effect that quickly. The man grabbed Lie's hand and punched her several times. After a fight, the man began to feel dizzy. Lie quickly pulled out the stun gun. The man had already run into the kitchen. Lie chased after him but was stabbed in the thigh by the man with a knife. Just like that, Lie was trapped in the cold storage, unable to escape. Fortunately, the assistant was very loyal and immediately came with a gun without a second thought. After a search, the assistant rescued Lie from the cold storage. At this point, the film also revealed why the assistant carried Lisa's husband's gun. It turned out that the night before Lisa's husband died, realizing he might be in danger, he gave the gun to the assistant, saying that if anything happened to him, the assistant should protect Lisa well. The assistant's life could be said to have been given by Lisa's family, so he was extremely loyal. Afterwards, the assistant cleaned up the crime scene and threw the restaurant owner into the hearse. But not long after they left, Lie received a terrified distress call from her daughter. Both of them didn't go home, but immediately went to pick up her daughter. It turned out that her daughter was lured by bad friends to play at an abandoned cable car station. Fortunately, her daughter was not harmed, and the reason why the film has this plot is to introduce this abandoned cable car station. The name of the station is Joe Blank. It was at this moment that Lisa realized that Joe Blank, whom Donia always mentioned, was not a person's name but an old cable car station. After analyzing the map, Lisa confirmed that Donia had originally escaped from this cable car station. In other words, this was very likely the crime scene of the 4 mysterious people. The next day, the disappearance of the restaurant owner aroused the suspicion of the police. When investigating the crime scene, Arang discovered Lisa's lost earring. But because Arang had always secretly loved Lisa, he didn't report this, but quietly hid the earring. On the other side, Lie began to investigate the cable car station. From the old owner of the land, she learned that he did not want to rent the land to the wealthy woman that year. The two sides thus had some conflicts, but he never expected that the price for not renting the land was to lose his daughter. The old man said that after his daughter disappeared that year, there was a big fire at the cable car station. The police did not find any clues, so everything just quietly faded away. Until now, he was old and still had not found his missing daughter. He said that his daughter's boyfriend that year must have known what happened, but he refused to speak. And his daughter's boyfriend was the bald man who helped the wealthy woman kidnap Lai's son a few days ago. Lai found the bald man's home address and immediately rushed there. She happened to meet this man on his way home. Lai drove to block him. "What do you want from me? Are you one of them? Are you the fox?" Because the mysterious people all had patterned tattoos. Lai asked the man to take off his clothes so she could check, but she didn't find any tattoos on the man and fainted due to an infected wound on her thigh. Fortunately, the bald man was not a bad person. He took Lisa to the hospital. It was also because of this that Lai's secret was discovered by the fourth mysterious person. The attending doctor found that the wound on Lai's thigh was not as simple as an ordinary scratch. When he left the ward, he deliberately left a crack in the door and repeatedly sent messages in the private group chat. The doctor found that every time he sent a message, Lisa's mobile phone would ring. He basically determined that the other, killed members were all related to Lisa. So he injected Lai with a dose under the guise of treatment. "What the hell did you inject me with? We haven't made any mistakes for so long. Until one escaped, everything collapsed like a house of cards." The doctor also said that he was the one who drove the car that hit and killed her husband. Lai wanted to choke the other person to death right there, but because she was injected with a high concentration of insulin, she basically couldn't move. After the man left, she rolled off the bed, used all her strength to crawl out, and with the help of passers-by, drank a large can of Coca-Cola to alleviate the effects of insulin on her body. When the doctor returned to the ward, Lisa was already prepared, pretending to be dead on the bed. Taking advantage of the doctor's unguarded moment, she quickly used the IV tube to strangle him. This time, Lai used more force than the previous, 3 times, because he was the one who killed her husband. At this time, the assistant also rushed to help. They thought that after dealing with the last bad guy, everything would end. But she never expected that there was still a big boss behind the scenes. The next day, the bald man came to Lai. He said he had found a USB flash drive in the photographer's workshop. "If something happens to me one day, I want you to make its contents public." At this point, Lai didn't want to beat around the bush anymore. She directly asked the man if the disappearance of the farmer's daughter that year was related to him. The man said, "I don't know where she went either, but ever since she disappeared, the townspeople have regarded me as the murderer. Only the wealthy woman's family didn't discriminate against me. So for many years, I have always worked for the wealthy woman." Afterwards, Lai watched the contents of the USB flash drive. Inside were all the details of the mysterious people's crimes. The assistant suggested handing this over to the police. Lai hadn't yet figured out how to handle it when a police officer came from outside to invite her to the police station to assist with the investigation. It turned out that on the night the restaurant owner disappeared, someone saw Lai's hearse passing by the scene, so the police had reason to suspect that the owner's disappearance was related to Lisa. Fortunately, at this time, Arang ran out and said that he and Lisa were together at the bar that night, which helped clear her name. Afterwards, Arang also invited Lisa to dinner at his house that evening. Thinking that everything had ended smoothly, Lai happily agreed, but unexpectedly, after dinner, Arang returned her earring and asked her what she had been doing lately. On the other side, as the assistant was flipping through the contents of the USB flash drive, he discovered that there was a 5th mysterious person. He quickly called Liza, but Liza's phone was on silent, so she didn't hear it. So he prepared to go out and find Lisa. But he happened to meet Lisa's father-in-law, who was returning from investigating the hit-and-run car. Lisa's father-in-law said he had found a suspicious car of the same type, but this car had already been impounded by the police, so it definitely wasn't the car that caused the accident. Arang is in charge of investigating cars. We can't find the culprit. What did you just say? We can't find the culprit anymore. The assistant immediately realized that Arang was probably the 5th mysterious person. He was the one who abused his position to destroy the car that caused the accident. And Lisa here also accidentally discovered a patterned tattoo on Arang's body. Seeing this, Arang no longer concealed the truth. "That's right. I killed your husband." Lai angrily raised her gun and shot him, but the gun had no bullets. It turned out that Arang had already taken the bullet when Lai wasn't paying attention. At this point, the director finally revealed the truth of the matter. 20 years ago, the farmer's daughter went out with these 5 bad guys. The photographer, because the farmer didn't want to renew the land lease, took out his anger on the girl. A few bad guys also said they would teach her a lesson, accidentally killing the girl. To prevent anyone from betraying them and telling the truth, they used a red-hot buckle to brand her as proof. Since then, these 5 people have formed a group and done many shady things. The scene cuts to Lai waking up in an incinerator. Around her were several corpses of the victimized girls. Lai casually picked up a sharp broken bone fragment and crawled out. At the same time, the assistant also rushed over. Afterwards, Arang shot wildly, but unexpectedly the assistant was injured. Just as Arang was about to attack the assistant, Lai suddenly rushed out and stabbed him to death. The story ends with the police discovering the criminal evidence of Arang and the others. And Lai's family also resumed a peaceful life. The value of a film lies in its reputation, and the value of a film review lies in its feeling. Today's story ends here. Thank you for watching. What do you think of this film? Please comment below.